Welcome back to the Joystick Show, and if this is your first time, thank you for joining. We're your three favorite friends from Hawaii here to talk story about comic news, pop culture, and video games. I'm your co-host Drake, and that's Thomas.
What up, what up?
That's Scott.
How's it?
And we are the Joystick Show, so sit back and let our soothing tones soothe your ear holes and consequently your bodies. Tonight, we have a host of different topics. Today, we're playing Gotham Knights just because it's so recent and it's been a fantastic game to go through. We'll get into that. We've got some trailers, some news, and some reviews that I think you're going to like, and we'll top it off all with Comic Book Club. But Thomas, do you want to kick it off and tell us on how your second run-through of Gotham Knights has enhanced your life force?
Yeah. Oh my God, my life has changed. I'm a completely different person. I'm a born again man. Robin. Sure. I'm born again Bruce. But yeah, it's great, man. It's been a really fun game. I do like now after playing it, kind of the open world part of it. I understand kind of the system that they've put in place now, where the more crimes you investigate, the harder the crimes that pop up on the map. And at the same time, the better rewards you get. So that part of it is pretty awesome. All the characters do feel really, really different, which is super fun. Nightwing does feel more acrobatic and flippy and just kind of, he really does bounce around to different bad guys that he's fighting. Batwoman or Batgirl, she is definitely like a single target bruiser. Like it says, like if you want to take down a big boss or a big villain fast, she's like your best bet. Red Hood obviously has the guns, so his whole range program is like really tight. That's fun. And then Robin, he's more stealth. The one thing I can say about Robin, I mean, he's really cool. I love the bow staff. But I'm not a fan of the traversal. They all have like these unique traversal skills at the end of the day, but Robin's is the only one where I feel like it doesn't necessarily help you get around faster. It just helps you get to higher places easier. If that makes sense. But other than that, they're all really great and fun. And I can't wait to see what Assault Mode brings to the table sometime this month.
Assault Mode. Yeah, I've been maining Robin just because Tim Drake's last name is my first name, so I feel like I have to rep. But it is true, his traversal is not as cool or as functional as it can be, and your incorporation of silent takedowns is nice, but when it comes to the combat, it's a lot more dodgy and hit, dodgy, hit. So it's a little bit more grindy in my opinion, but still fun overall. Scott, who have you been maining?
And Scott is on mute, I think.
I sure am, Thomas. Thanks for noticing. Oh man, I was monologuing back there. You couldn't hear me. Yeah, Red Hood is who I've been playing. He's pretty cool though, because he's got a good mixture of like brutal attacks physically, and he's got the range with his weapons that aren't bullets, but they pretty much are. I don't know what they are.
There is a cutscene that they go in where Robin and Red Hood are talking about like how strong his bullets are, and he's like blowing holes in the dummy in the background that he's aiming at, and then Robin's like, he's like, "Are you sure the velocity is not too high on those?" And he's like, "Nah, they should be fine." And then Robin's like, "All right, well, if it's fine, then shoot at me." And then he's like, "All right, I'll turn him down a little bit." But I'm like, straight up, Red Hood was planning on just murdering fools before Robin was like, "Hey,
That's
maybe
like
don't do that."
It's like the college humor sketch with Batman throwing his batarangs. He's like, "They're sleeping." Like those are murdering people.
Yeah.
Oh
Exactly.
man! Shout out to Pete Holmes, man. That dude's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, he's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's been good. The story's really great. Now I'm at the point though where I'm getting legendary gear, and I really just hope they add DLC. This is like the story needs to continue. There needs to be points to why you have the legendary gear other than just like repeatedly playing this story. Again, it's probably going to be useful when it comes to assault mode, but I don't know. I just hope that they continue the story because that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's it. Kind of it for Gotham Knights. I don't know if you guys have anything else, but we can get into some of our first trailers. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right. Sweet. Wait, Drake, isn't there something else I know it's not related. No, Scott, you're reading a book, right? And I feel like it's relevant. Let's just bring it up. I was just curious if you have anything to say about the Matthew Perry book, since all those interviews and all that has come out recently.
In a book.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, I love a good autobiography. I've been listening to it. I love it when the author reads it themselves. So in this case, he does. Yeah, he's reading his own book.
How's his speech? Is it good or?
It's pretty good. Like, it's noticeably different than like if you watched Friends and like the movies he was in, you know. Yeah, but you get used to it.
I'm sorry, he sounds like my grandpa. Or like, yeah, before my grandpa passed away, like it's like his teeth are fake and that his like lips don't move or something. I don't know.
Right.
He's like a really interesting way of talking.
Yeah, it was like pretty like yeah, it was just unexpected when I was first started listening to it, but then you do get used to it. And especially like when he starts telling you like everything he's been through, like with his drug addiction and his like alcoholism and like how long he's been through it. I'm like, I can't believe you're alive. It's good. Like, it's kind of sad, especially because like, I'm a big fan of Friends, and like I love Chandler, the character Chandler he does, and throughout that whole, even beforehand and like afterwards, but like especially through Friends, like there were times where he was like just like out of it, like super high, and they had to like get him through like rehabs multiple times and like get him on set. He would like be good for the filming, and then like afterwards he would just like drink himself and like take pills or whatever, like to like knock out or whatever. Like there was a point in it where he was up to like 55 Vicodins a day.
Yeah, I heard that
like,
too.
How the hell can you live?
That's
like
a
that?
lot.
Like,
how can you even
is
function?
that even possible?
Yeah,
like,
how did he not OD? Is like he deserves an award for not overdosing.
The human body is a beautiful thing, man.
I'm like towards
system.
the end of the book, and like what he's talking about now is like, you know, he's like, hopefully the plan is, it's always the plan, but the plan is to like, you're good now, right? Like never go back and like relapse. He's like, the thing is though, I'm starting to realize like if I were to relapse, like I don't think opioids even have like any, like it won't give him anything anymore. Like he has such a high tolerance now. He's like, if he takes it, it just makes him sick. Like it won't give him that high he initially, you know, got when he first got it. Like, especially since like when he was saying he was getting to the point where he was like up to like 55 Vicodins a day, and he'd do like the math. He's like, okay, I got to do this, so I'm gonna need 8 here, and then I got to do this interview. I'm gonna need 7, and then I'm gonna have to sleep, so I'm gonna need this. And like he was just crazy. Like he was like, he had like, you know, some doctors that he'd go to, and then he was like, there was a point where he would hit up open houses and like go through medicine cabinets.
Wow.
And like, and he said like he would he's like you had to do like. Yeah, he's like, you have to be smart about it. If it was like an old bottle and they were going to expire soon, you could take more. But if it's like a new bottle, you only take like a couple. And I'm like, this is crazy. He's like, sometimes he'd have to do that just to plan out like his day to get all of the pills he needed. I'm like,
yeah, I'm just imagining Leonardo DiCaprio, like Jordan Belforting it, you know, from Wolf of Wall Street, when he takes the Quaaludes and he's falling out of the Ferrari or Lamborghini or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he's just like dragging himself through the ground. Like I'm imagining him doing that, leaving an open house. I mean, like, I don't want this place anymore. It's not for me. And just stumbling out of there. Jeez,
it's insane. Like nuts. He's talking about what is it, like the biggest part in Friends, like where he's like marrying Monica or whatever. He was like, that was one of the parts where he was kind of at his lowest, and they called him up. They're like, you got to be here in 2 weeks, and like we got to film. But he was like in no shape or form. Like they had to like postpone it for like a month. He had to go to like another rehab and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's just crazy to think, like thinking back on all your favorite episodes, and you're like, damn, he was just like not happy. As happy, like as like funny as he was on the show, he just like was not happy in general, like with his life. And even when he was in good relationships, he was just kind of messed up from like younger, I guess. I don't know. He kind of talks about it. It's kind of a lot to get into, but he'd be in a good relationship, or he's like good for 2 years, and he'd like just figure out a way to self-sabotage himself and like get right back in it. And I'm like, damn, dude, you're like, it's so sad. I didn't understand though some of the comments he did where he's like, oh, like River Phoenix died and like Keanu still walks among us. And I'm like, man, what did Keanu do to you? Like, you don't like him, where you're like, I want him to die instead of like my friend. Like, why can't they both live? I didn't understand certain things. He never got into his like dislike for Keanu Reeves, or like just some other stuff.
In the walks away, he's like, Keanu Reeves sucks dick. By the way, I was high as hell on this other day, barely survived. Exactly. You're like, why? Why did you need to bring that up?
Exactly. He said that, funny. And then there was a later part in the book where he's like, again, Keanu's still with us. And I'm like, what is up with Keanu? Like, fuck.
Keanu Reeves.
He just hates him. I don't know. Maybe jealousy. There's a lot of things in this book where like, he mentions how like narcissism and all that. Yeah. So it sounds like
I just want to say it's funny because I've literally said in a conversation recently, I'm like, Keanu is pretty much my Lord and Savior, and nobody laughed at it. And then just juxtapose it a week later, and then be like Matthew Perry wishing he died from overdose is just it's too funny. I'm like, wow, this is the same world. Like, this is the same world we live in.
There are people who don't like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just really interesting. This is definitely stuff you never knew what was you never knew what was going on behind the curtain there. Mm-hmm, it is kind of sad though. It's kind of a bummer, like, because he's just suffering like most of his life. Like, so you do kind of just feel bad for him the whole book. You're like, fuck, dude, like, does it get any better? Like, I'm waiting for like the turnaround.
Right.
But then I'm like, well, he's also being honest, so it just kind of sucks he's going through it. And it's also he talks about like, oh, because I'm rich and I don't have this search for money, like, it's so much easier for him to get drugs and stuff because he's like, I'll pay whatever it takes. He's like, but if I like, maybe if I was not successful, I would have had a better life, or I don't know what it is, but you know, rich man problems
sounds like a lot of woe is me. Is there what
I know it kind of is like that too, but at the same time you do feel, I guess, a little bad for maybe because I like the stuff he did. Like, he references some of the movies and like the show, like Friends and stuff, and like I enjoyed him as that. So I'm like, it's too bad you weren't having a great time and living it up like your other cast members. Like, but at the same time, it does sound kind of woe is me. So like, I don't know if I can say like I recommend the book to everyone.
Well, if you like Matthew Perry.
You pretty much gave us a whole recap, so I don't think I need to.
You probably don't need to. Yeah, and I'm almost done with it. I'm literally got like an hour left or something. But, you just kind of feel bad for the guy. Like, but he kind of did it himself.
That's
so
too bad.
Yeah, it's just too bad. That's what it is.
You just never know what people are going through, and it's a bummer to hear that. But it's kind of crazy, all the stuff that happens behind these shows and movies that we end up loving. You never really know. Like, just shows how good of an actor he probably was, and how great the writing was, and you know, he was lucky. He was lucky to be, I guess, on that show at the time he was, because had things been differently, who knows what would have happened to him, especially with his drug addiction and all that stuff. So
one cool thing though was like when they first got together, he was the last guy to get on Friends, and their view was like, I want you guys to like actually become friends before doing the show. So like do stuff together and stuff. So eventually they had their own dressing rooms and stuff, and they started sharing trailers and stuff. And they said like they eventually didn't really go to their trailers. They would always like just hang out. Yeah. And it was David Schwimmer who was like the love of like, got all the love from the people watching the show in the beginning. So he had every right to be like, hey, I demand more money for like renegotiations. And he came into Matthew Perry's space or whatever, and it was like, hey, like, I'm thinking like we need to renegotiate together. We should all make the same amount of money. That way, like, we like stay close and like we have control, whatever. So like, because of that, they all ended up getting like pay raises to the point where like at one point they were all getting $1,300,000 or something. An
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. That was one of the coolest stories. Yeah. But like, just talk about, wow, your friend like backing you up and stuff. Don't worry. I'll split all the proceeds with you guys with this podcast. You know,
thanks.
Yeah. All $20. No, if we made $20, that would be great. But yeah, no,
that's so funny.
Yeah, that's cool though. It was awesome that they really were friends and stuff for sure. Dude, nice. Okay, well, I appreciate you saying that. A lot of crazy stuff has come out from him talking about it recently. But let's move on to some trailers. So sweet trailers. We got, we were talking about this offline already, but Guillermo del Toro, his Pinocchio show, the trailer just came out for it and it looks pretty cool. Like I got a really good impression from it. It looks fun. It looks very classically accurate, but at the same time, utilizing maybe modern takes on stories and stuff, and just kind of revamping the story in little unique ways, especially with, what was Pinocchio's dad's name?
Geppetto.
Right. So yeah, it looks good. I don't know. Have you guys had a chance to check out that trailer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks cool.
Don't all jump at once.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
It looks beautiful. It looks great. It looks like it's stop motion mixed with maybe some CG or whatnot. But it looks like a really cool. It's gonna be a show or a movie?
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it looks great. Especially, I know we were just talking about the one that just came out recently from Disney and how it didn't get probably all the love that Disney wanted to. But this movie probably will get a lot more love through this telling, because it definitely looks unique. And because Guillermo del Toro, he always puts his little spin on everything. And so far, all I can say is it's beautiful. Definitely check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't watch the Tom Hanks one, as we talked about. Like, it didn't get good reviews online. Like, people really hated that one for whatever reason. It just seemed like Tom Hanks being Tom Hanks, but with Pinocchio in a way. I know he does like an accent or something, right? But I don't know. I think the hate and the reviews online kind of deterred me from watching it. Right. But this one looks, I'm such a fan of Guillermo del Toro. Like, one of my favorite movies is Shape of Water. And I also loved his Hellboy. So I can't see not liking this. He does such a great job of like characters and monsters and creatures and like building unique stories for them. I'm sure he's going to do a great job with this classic story as well. Drake, what did you think about the Pinocchio trailer?
I liked the tone of it. I think Guillermo del Toro, his tone is always so, it's ominous, but it has a layer of eloquence to it. It's telling a darkness through like the lens of like emotion. And I don't know. I'm thinking that I'm a sucker for stop motion in general. I'll always watch anything stop motion pretty much. But I think he's going to do a really good job at kind of bringing out the darkness in Pinocchio, but also bringing in the beauty of the story of a non-sentient, or I guess a sentient thing wanting to be more than what it is. And that's kind of like the human dynamic of you're always wanting to be more than what you are. And though you may be cast aside or you may be created by something and not seen as something, that, the strive to be the thing that you want to be, while also trying to maintain your quote unquote humanity, even though he's not being seen as a human, is going to be interesting in Guillermo del Toro's eyes. I think that's going to be super interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Damn, I feel like you gave me a lesson too in like human emotion as well on top of just making really fantastic points too. So yeah, you're right, man. You got me like actually even more excited. Both of you guys got me way more excited to watch this. And yeah, the animation looks fantastic. So not exactly sure when it's dropping on Netflix, but it should be coming out pretty soon. And yeah, if you haven't, go check out that trailer.
It looks like theaters November and on Netflix December 9th.
Oh, it's going to be the theaters too?
Yeah, it looks like.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. That'd be a nice Netflix and chill situation though on the 9th of November.
Yeah. Oh, real quick tangent. I didn't know that that Christmas movie with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, that's coming out in theaters as well. Like a day before Apple Plus or whatever. So like if you want to check it out in theaters, that's a possibility as well.
Oh,
so that's
nice.
Cool
I didn't know that either. That's awesome. Perfect. Thanks for dropping that in there. He's talking about Spirited. So yeah, I'm not sure when that's coming out, but that's coming out in theaters. So keep an eye out for that movie as well. It looks super fun. The next trailer is I love this guy so much. And it's great to see him back in so many different roles. But Brendan Fraser, he got, what was it, like a 7-minute standing ovation for this movie.
Yeah.
And I think at Cannes Film Festival. And you could see him, he was tearing up, he was crying, and he was just talking about like, man, he had such a road, like a crazy road back to getting back to the top and in the limelight, and well deserved. By all accounts, to me, he's like a Keanu Reeves. Matthew Perry probably hates him, but
they're definitely not friends.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Drake on fire with the point side. Okay, but yeah, they're probably not friends, but at the same time, yeah, it looks great. And talk about an emotional kind of journey that this movie seems to be putting us through as viewers, but also like, man, just so humanizing and great. And wow, so much was said in such a short amount of time in the trailer. I'm really looking forward to a movie. This looks like a movie that I will definitely go see or watch. Like, I'm kind of a sucker for these movies that may be Oscar contenders, and this looks like it could be one of them, and it looks fantastic. And it's called The Whale. Drake, what did you think about The Whale from like just the teaser trailer?
I mean, it's definitely emotional. I mean, the general premise is just like, what's the main character's name? Charlie?
Well, I don't know any characters' names yet. I know Brendan Fraser and Sadie Sink.
Okay, so I think Brendan
Fraser is Charlie.
Brendan Fraser is Charlie, and essentially he's trying to like reconnect with his daughter, right?
Yeah.
And they grew apart, I think, from the trailer in that sense. And Charlie left his family for a man who later died, and so Charlie essentially went on this huge like emotional binge eating situation out of guilt, and then hence why he's like super huge, quote unquote, the whale in the story. And I think from what I've seen, it's familiar in the sense not of like I've been through this, but something that you can definitely relate to, because from like standpoint of Brendan Fraser as a whole, we haven't seen him for a long time, and he was kind of blacklisted for a while. I mean, Tarzan and the Mummy franchise, right? Aside from like most recently Doom Patrol, so he's had a resurgence. So to see a character or an actor like him play a role into which very much is almost parallel to what he's been going through in terms of like the leaving of the main limelight for whatever reason, and then really the guilt and the shame that he must have felt during that time being outcasted, and having now to be able to play this character, I felt like it felt very natural within the trailer. Yeah, I'm almost afraid to watch it because I feel like it's going to make me feel feelings, but
it's the best, man.
It is the best, but especially Brendan, like he's a huge part of our 90s grow up situation, right? So he's kind of on that same line of like Robin Williams and like Jim Carrey. I mean, not necessarily physical comedy, but like present within that action realm. And so I'll look forward to it based on the fact that not only do we know that Brendan Fraser can act, but we know that himself has been through it, and we know that he can portray this type of emotional baggage well enough to know that he's going to do a spectacular job.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, you're totally right about that. I'm all for feeling the feelings. Like this looks like one of those ones that's gonna just like tug at the heartstrings and just make me feel like, oh man, I don't know. I like that sometimes. I like to feel just bad or sad or how shitty something is sometimes. Because then when you come back to your life, you're like, wow, I'm kind of pretty good. Like, it's not so bad. I feel like this is one of those movies where you like just feel so. This is like a Matthew Perry. Like, it's gonna make you feel like Matthew Perry does right now, or at least in his book. And like, I'm cool with that. Yeah. So, yeah, looks great. Sorry, Scott. Did you have something else to say about it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, basically that. Like, I'm definitely a big fan of like every once in a while, if there's a movie that like, oh my God, it's gonna make me feel a certain way. Like I usually want to like watch it like so I get no disturbance from anyone. I guess the latest movie I saw that was maybe similar to like
sorry, I was gonna say like the way you're talking about this movie sounds like the way somebody watches porn. You're like, I like to watch it, nobody else is around.
Yeah, I go action or
I go
animated
side by side screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I throw up both drama and porn.
We can't say inside jokes. You gotta have to explain that.
No, what I'm saying is, like you're watching a dramatic movie, and then someone's like just starts talking, or like gets up, starts like turning on a light. I like to like make sure like I'm just I get sucked into the world. The a movie that I seen recently that was kind of like that, or kind of recent, was like The Sound of Metal.
Oh,
was like,
so good.
You know, so like that movie, like you're like, oh my God, like he's a drummer, he loses hearing. And then you're just like, you're with him throughout the whole journey of like him trying to figure out like, is there even a way for me to get my hearing back? Can I still drum? Or like what, you know, like you're with him with this on this emotional journey. And I don't like being disturbed at all while I'm there, because it just takes you out of it, you know?
Right.
So when I saw this movie, I know we don't get to see much from this teaser, but when he's hooked up to the oxygen and like you see his eyes welling up and like his eyes are darting back and forth, and I'm like, dude, I know for a fact he's put on like an amazing performance in this movie, and I definitely want to be here for it. Going back to like what you're saying, Drake, about like why he hasn't been in movies and stuff, from my understanding is it was an interview I saw where I know couple things. He went through like a really bad divorce where he like lost a bunch of money, and like his life kind of got messed up, as a lot of these divorces do. And he got like a really bad back injury, I believe, too. So that led to him like putting on weight. And then like he was always like a really in shape dude. So like that led to, I think, depression. And then that like compounded into him like putting on more weight, lack of confidence. And like this interview I saw where he was like being super vulnerable about it all. But so like even more so now I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to see him like come back and like be on top, because he definitely has the acting chops. I'm super pumped to watch this movie.
Right. Yeah, man, that's crazy. It seems like there's a lot of synergy going on with actors right now, and then like acting kind of like what they're feeling right now, right? I mean, another example is like the whole cast of Black Panther. We're going to get into it. We could probably just move on to it right now. And that the cast of Black Panther is literally creating a movie about losing their king, while at the same time the cast has in essence lost their same king or champion. Right. And like that's the vibe I'm getting from people who've already seen Black Panther, which I'm so fucking pumped about getting to watch this weekend. So if you watch it, go out there, tell us what you think about it, because I'm going to be probably pretty damn hyped. But anyways, but like that cast is going through it right now. They feel those same emotions that their characters are probably going to be feeling. And that's going to be an interesting journey, because while we are grieving and seeing how Marvel handles the loss of Chadwick Boseman, at the same time, like the characters are feeling that and grieving and going through it too. What a unique opportunity. No, I'm not, I don't know if that comes across callous or whatnot, but obviously it's emotional and sad. And like, I didn't even know Chadwick Boseman, but I have such like a weird, deep connection. Like I can't watch the trailer without crying, but at the same time, it's a unique way of creating a movie and us as viewers watching this creation happen, because we're going through what the characters are going through at the same time, which is, I don't know, I'm sure there's examples out there of people who've had to do the same thing in movies, but it's just like an interesting, unique kind of story around the whole movie and something that we get to feel like, too.
I can't remember the last, if any, movie that it was experiencing, even as the viewer, kind of like sharing that feeling with the people making the movie and what this fake Marvel universe is sharing at the same time, right? Like, because we don't know Chadwick Boseman, but I've seen him in other things too, like, and I've seen him in like interviews and the way he carries himself in public, and he's always seemed like a really cool guy. Even the fact that he hid his like cancer from other people to like not make it, I guess, even so it wouldn't affect people's jobs, really, like, like that sort of thing. He just lived his life. Seemed like such an awesome person, and then. We're sad watching it. You're like, oh man, it's too bad he died. And then we're gonna see people in the movie like, oh, like we're gonna, like you said, we're gonna see them crying, and I wouldn't be surprised if it starts making me like start tearing up, because I'm like, you get into it's like going to a funeral, and then like once people start crying, it's like hard not to, like like it's,
you start feeling all them feels.
Sometimes sadness is infectious, like happiness is like laughter. So I could definitely see that happening too in theater, like. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty emotional ride for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing too, and I've been caught up in it. They also did, I don't know who produced it, but basically they're doing a Behind Wakanda Forever, a podcast. It's like professionally introduced. I know like they're the big guy cannibalizing all the little guys, but that podcast was so good. It's done by the narrator is Ta-Nehisi Coates. And he did a lot of runs of Black Panther. I mean, he's an acclaimed writer and all this stuff too, but he did a handful of runs on Black Panther, and he knew Chadwick Boseman personally, but he goes through and he interviews the cast and he interviews Ryan Coogler and stuff. And like, he asked Ryan Coogler a question and he just starts like crying he's like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, my bad. And he's like, no. He's like, it's a tough thing I asked you to talk about. So it's like, you just know, and it like just feels authentic. You know, like there's some people who cry about stuff and it feels like it's bullshit. I don't know if it is, but it definitely feels like it's coming from a very genuine place. Like he even talks about like when he found out about Chadwick dying, and it was like, wow. Yeah. Just him talking about it was like, holy, you know, I was just talking to him about finalizing the script, and he's like, I want you to read it before I send it to the execs at Marvel, and you tell me what you think. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I could tell he was tired, and I could tell he just like he was laying down, and it just didn't normally sound like him. But he was like, yeah, I'll get to it, and I'll check it out. And then next thing I know, one of my agent basically was like, Chadwick passed away. And he's like, nah, I don't believe you. I literally just talked to him last week, and he's like, no, it's real. And he was just like,
sad.
Yeah. And so it just like changed up everything. Who knows? Like, I guess only God knows what the movie would have been like had Chadwick Boseman not passed away, and also what that movie would have been like if, you know, he had done that script. But, you know, I'm still excited to see what we get, because it's going to be what a crazy emotional journey. So I think it's just that season of like feels, man. I like every movie and show that I'm very interested in watching, like, has a lot of deep emotional connections there. And that's like, I'm all for it. Like I'm about that. Maybe it'll also make Drake's like black coal heart grow 6 inches, or whatever they say, 10 times the size. Whatever the Grinch. I don't know why I said 9 inches. I should be talking about inches. I'm thinking about dicks now, but like I really meant like grow the like 10 times. You know, like the Grinch.
I mean, it's definitely a grower, not a shower, for sure.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah. So anyways, I'm all for those, all for that. Do you guys have any thoughts on the Black Panther Wakanda Forever coming up while we're here?
When is it coming out again? So
comes out on the 11th, November 11th.
Oh crap, that's super soon.
Yeah, I'm seeing on Sunday.
This will be good. It's coming up this weekend. Yeah. I bought my tickets like when they drop. So
I should probably buy tickets, because my theater is predominantly Wakanda Forever. So hopefully there'll be space for me there.
What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
What do you mean? Anyways, moving on. So it's going to be popular. Tickets are going to be sold out. You need to get some soon, right?
I definitely got mine. I'm going to see it on Sunday. I'm hyped. Nice. And I know, like, we can talk about real quick, like, it's weird that it's getting like some like mixed reviews from some people. I'm still not going to let that sway me in any way. I'm going to go in with my like open mind and whatnot, but it is interesting.
No, totally. The thing with that too is like, yeah, I've heard there's some mixed reviews, but at the same time, the critic reviews as it stands right now, the Rotten Tomatoes is still at 94%. So sweet. Like, it's still like, it's just a lot. Like, and also I don't think this can be a perfect movie. I don't know how it can. There's too many things it has to juggle, right? It has to like give honor and praise to Chadwick Boseman. At the same time, it needs to tell a compelling, action-packed story.
Yeah, like, it needs to make sense with the MCU.
It's like
too.
It's unfair to MCU. It's unfair to compare it to like a natural sequel of any sort, right? Like,
exactly.
It's just got too much more to tell.
And also, this is the end of phase 4. So it also needs to wrap up phase 4 and then connect us into phase 5. So there's too much at stake. I do not expect this to be a perfect movie in any way, but I hope that it just gives Chadwick Boseman, you know, the honor and praise he deserves. I hope that there's cool action in it, and that I hope it wraps up phase 4 in a cohesive way that made all of phase 4. And I've said this before and I've gotten flack for it online, but I do feel this way. I feel phase 4 was a little disjointed, but I hope that it finds a way to kind of connect some of these things that seemingly are not as connected as I would have assumed given phase 1 through 3. So it's a large monumental task, and I'm going to be happy and support it. I think no matter what, I'm on board. I loved Black Panther 1 so much, and we've already talked about how much Chadwick Boseman meant to people, but also like, I think I'm included in that group. And I'm fired up about it. It looks dope.
Yep.
So sweet.
Agreed.
So moving on, Sexiest Man Alive has been crowned another MCU star.
Jude Law.
He was in a movie. Did he ever win Sexiest Man Alive? I feel like he did. I feel like he did. The internet would know. Yeah. But it's not Jude Law. It's a Chris.
Chris Hemsworth.
No.
Chris Jenkins.
No, but I wish.
Chris D'Elia.
Yes. Chris bounced back after getting canceled, and now he is the Sexiest Man alive. No, it is Captain America. Chris Evans. He was rated I don't know. I guess it's rated, right? Is that the right term? He was voted Sexiest Man Alive, and that's I think pretty well deserving. Man, every time I look at him, I'm like, this guy is perfect. He's quite the specimen.
He's got a specimen.
He's got. Did you know it wasn't his ass in that shot? It was
really?
One of the fight choreographers, and it might be America's ass, and I'm sure it's Stone, but that was a small ass. Let's be real. I've seen that was not a toned. Maybe it's Stone, but it wasn't. Anyways, I like my asses bigger. I don't know necessarily. It just wasn't big enough for me. All right.
Good. Yeah.
So yeah.
On men.
All right. Now that I sound super gay, what do you guys think about Chris Evans being the Sexiest Man alive?
He's got a great ass. Start with that.
I mean, he's definitely my Captain America. It makes sense. I wonder what's the criteria.
You gotta be careful saying that now that we have a new Captain America.
Oh yeah. Well, in terms of his. Let me just backtrack here a little bit. Here we go. Let me just try to eat this up real quick. Here we go.
Yeah.
Thanks for
that. Sounds so bad.
Thanks for trying to get canceled on this episode.
Thanks for fixing that. Yeah.
Any loser.
Right.
I don't know. What's the criteria for being the Sexiest Man? Is it purely on looks, or is it what you've done with your career so far?
I have no idea. I never have bought, nor do I know anybody who's bought the Sexiest Man.
What else has he done in the last 5 years aside from Captain America?
He did.
It's probably who's hot right now and who wasn't already.
But he wasn't even physically in it though. He was just
he was in that. So. What was the Russo brothers one? Where he plays the bad guy. I want to say Red Notice.
Gray Man.
The Gray Man. Yeah, he was in that. He was in the Apple TV show where he plays the dad, and I think his kid goes to jail. So not a lot.
What is that movie called?
I don't know. It was on Apple TV.
Kid in jail.
That's probably what it was. They saw that. They're like, he's a sexy dad.
Yeah, I know.
He's getting big zaddy energy here.
Send him to jail. Am I right, Tim? Let's put him on this cover.
I think, I guess I don't necessarily care about the moniker or the title just because it's so subjective and political. However, I don't know that it could have gone to anybody else. I definitely could have gone to other people, but I guess I'm not mad that it's gone to him.
Right. It just seems like it fits, right? It's just that seems to make sense.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Kind of a situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, to me, this title is if they did this every week, and then next week it was Michael B. Jordan, I'd be like, yeah, okay. It's right. It's literally just a hot dude or hot woman, and they're like, yeah, they're hot, and then acknowledgement, and I don't know.
Move on.
Yeah, I feel like they're good looking and they're doing all right now with their job.
Right. That's kind of what it is. That's true. Yeah. It's who's hot and pretty successful in Hollywood? Oh yeah. Chris Evans, Paul Rudd, Chris Hemsworth, The Rock, these guys, of course. So yeah, you're right. It's totally a pointless moniker and title and whatnot, but hey, anytime I have a chance to talk about the MCU or people in it, I'm going to take it. So
for sure.
That's that.
Yeah. Was he wearing Captain America gear of any sort?
He wasn't wearing any Captain America gear, but there was news of something that does have some pretty badass gear. And that's Gears of War is now in production as a live action show at Netflix.
Nice.
That's pretty sick. The last time Gears of War was the newest or the game pretty much on Xbox is when I remember we used to play that together. But
I only got as far as 3, I think. But oh man, were those good times.
I mean, the gore in this Netflix show has got to be the best gore we've ever seen in a Netflix show, right? Like,
yeah, like
Gears
yeah,
of
that
War.
has to be a part of it. And there's been a lot of kind of like post-apocalyptic movies where things invade and aliens and stuff, but there hasn't been a lot of shows that I think have done it really well. Not that I can think of, right? Like where like this crazy alien invasion comes and then it's like an all-out war. Like there was Tomorrow War, there was Edge of Tomorrow, but those were both movies. Like I'm excited. I think they could really dive. Man, I don't know.
The
if
story has to be
this.
good and the action has to be good and the gore has to be good. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be good.
I don't think there's any casting news or writing news. I think it's just been announced that that's in the work at Netflix.
You know who could do a cool job directing it for sure?
Who?
Snyder.
Probably.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder could probably do a pretty cool.
That's actually probably, that's a really valid point. That would be sick because he does action and then gore like so well. And he does a really good job of like balancing out characters and stuff too. That could be cool. I'd be super into that.
Yeah.
But he would also have to make it not like the zombie in Las Vegas one. Right. He'd have to find a way to like, he'd be like, he's just redoing that movie, but with aliens and in the future.
Yeah.
You know, like that'd be the only tightrope he'd have to walk there. But yeah, you're right though. He would crush it. Oh my God, I would love that. He's doing a show or a movie called Moonfall, right? That is kind of.
Oh, I watched Moonfall.
You watched it?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I don't know. Not the movie Moonfall, right?
Yeah, there's a new movie. It's not out yet. Yeah, what Moonfall did you watch?
I watched the Moonfall where the moon
with Brian Harper and Casey Houseman. And, sorry, these are the character names. Patrick Wilson, John Bradley, Halle Berry.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. It was like that blockbuster.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah.
Got it. I might be completely wrong. I might have the name completely wrong, but it's something Moon. But
Zack Snyder.
Yeah. I was curious about it. Was it in 2 sentences? Was that movie good? 2 sentences or less?
It was okay.
All right, 1 sentence, perfect.
Nice. The cast is definitely bigger than the story.
Oh, even with the moon getting thrown on people?
It's one of those like it's super like overproduced, and you can tell.
Yeah.
Great cast, right? But like the shit is script. The script is shit.
The shit is script.
So it's like everything you predict is happening. You're like, oh, there's a thing coming. The moon's. Oh, I gotta tell, but no one's gonna listen to me because I'm just like a scientist. And they're like, get out of here, scientist. We don't listen to you. And it's like, I gotta get this in the right hands.
It tries to do so much, and then it fails. It doesn't. It fails at some things. It's just an okay movie. Like Scott said, it's overproduced, great cast, but like the story is not necessarily really drawn out. There's just a lot of meh to it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
if it's
not
free
like
and you have
Greenland.
time. Yeah.
Greenland was good. Not like that. Like, but it's Rebel Moon. That's the Snyder.
Rebel Moon. That's what it is.
Rebel Moon.
Right on. Well, yeah, all of that. I agree. Those would he would kill it as a director, I think, for this type of movie, or I guess this show, which would be fantastic. So I'm stoked about it. That looks it looks like a ton of fun. We would, like you were saying, Drake, we would play that so much in school. And it was like one of the first games I actually played online where I like played, against other people. And oh man, I was addicted to that game.
It was one of the main third-person shooters too that came out of the time. So it kind of defined a genre for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It did. I agree with you. Like it was kind of the quintessential third-person action adventure game at that time. So yeah, it was fantastic. It was cool. So stoked about that. I hope to hear more news about that in the future. So
shit, I was on mute again.
It's looking good.
What the hell?
Jesus. All right.
Oh, Kobe.
I'm not going to edit this out, by the way. I want to keep this in.
No, I was just saying the Gears of War, the co-op was super like unique in the sense where like you branch off and do separate things and come back.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, that was really great. And then the Horde mode was so cool. Like I didn't know there wasn't really any other games that had that, I feel like at the time.
No, yeah.
Yeah, now that I can really think of for sure. Oh, yeah, it was so fun.
Horde
the guns
mode,
were cool
Horde
too.
Mode was crazy.
The assault rifle with the chainsaw on it is so like iconic. It was so badass.
That was the first time they would do cinematic takedowns, really.
Oh, Good call.
yeah.
That was a big thing, a part of it. Yeah, you're right.
You get to time the reload too, right?
Yeah, and then the idea of cover too, that was new at the time.
God, okay,
cool.
Now I might have to get an Xbox because this makes me want to play Gears of War so bad. It sounds so awesome right now. But yeah, let's move on. That was man, I'm so excited about it. Oh my gosh, can't wait for that. So hopefully more news is in the pipeline soon for Gears of War on Netflix. Let's see. Drake, do you have a hypothetical?
I have tons of hypotheticals.
All right, let's do it. It's been a while since we've done a hypothetical, and
it's been a while since I could. So this one was kind of a little bit more on the raunchy side. So if you're averse to,
I talked about inches of your heart. So let's. And I talked about Chris Evans' ass for way too long. I think I'm not safe here anyway.
I got a really girthy heart.
Let's double down for sure.
So you have two separate options.
Okay.
They're not great options, but you have to choose one.
Wait.
Okay. The reason why you would choose one is because you're doing it for not only $1 million, which is kind of regular, I think, but you would also get to choose like a vacation destination for 2 weeks for you and your significant other, all expenses paid, etc. So you get $1 million plus this, but you would have to do one of these two things. Okay.
These two things are not going to affect your relationship with this significant other?
It's probably not like emotionally, but in terms of what they would think about you, would definitely change.
All right. I can't wait to hear it. I feel like this is Black Mirror with the pig.
Let's preface with we probably, whatever we choose, we don't want to pick that, guys. But we have to pick one.
Right. Either way, we don't want to pick one, but we have to in this Squid Games like scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to choose between jerking off the person, the male you hate the most, and then consuming that semen that you jerked off.
What the fuck?
Okay, wait.
Is there a next level to this?
Or
is that it?
Or you have to cook a meal for a random female, and you have to then watch this person poop onto a plate and then take a bite of said poop.
Oh my God. Jeez. Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm going to just say, I don't want to do either one of these. Both of them sound absolutely terrible and atrocious. But for the sake of imagination and going along with this, I'm definitely picking two. I'm picking two in more ways than one, apparently. But I'm definitely picking that. Oh my God. I'm not going to jerk off somebody I hate and then
not just
eat
that.
their semen. Like, kidding me? I don't even want to see somebody I hate's penis, like, let alone touch it. Like, that's not right.
I mean, yeah.
That's hilarious. The person you hate, do they think it's weird too, or they're like, yeah,
person you hate the most? No, it's a glory hole style situation. They don't know you, and you don't see them. But it is a person you hate. So for Matthew Perry, it'd be Keanu Reeves, but then Keanu Reeves, he wouldn't know it's Keanu Reeves. He would just be behind a wall.
Kind of situation. I like how we brought it back to him. Damn, we were like so emotional in the early part of this episode. Now it's like jerking off our enemies and like Matthew Perry and
his hate for Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Anyways, what about you, Scott?
Yeah, I want to start by saying we were like, hey, you have hypothetical. You're like, I've got so many. Let's go with this one.
Like, this is the best option.
I'll tell you off air how I got the idea for it.
Okay.
It's definitely brought me a lot of laughs already, so that's great. Probably the second one, like, because just the second one. I feel like we don't even need to explain.
Yeah, I in the sense of, I think because we're males, and the idea of like eating male fluid is probably not the most conducive to being a male, just because that's a little bit opposite, unless that's what your jam is.
I mean, for the record,
speaking of jam, can you get some flavored jelly or something going on? Then number one,
the person you hate the most ate a lot of pineapples over the course of a week.
Okay. But
so
at the same time,
like Skittles.
Just to be fair, I don't want to eat a bunch of female fluids either.
Yeah,
I don't want to eat fluids from somebody's body.
It's
what's funny. What's getting funnier is like how enticing he's trying to make one sound.
I know. He's like, "Are you sure?"
Like, wait. You don't even need to look at him. Like they don't know. Well, wait, dude, it tastes like Skittles. Like so.
Yeah. What if I told you it tastes better? Yeah.
What if I said it's Raptor Fruit Roll Up?
It also gave you superpowers for 24 hours.
One. No,
yeah. Sign me up. What it is.
Shit.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I think for me the easiest thing would be number 2, just because cooking a meal and then you'd have to watch them poop it out and then you'd have to kind of eat it. That I think that would be the toughest in terms of like the smell and the taste. To be able to do, but probably the most acceptable, versus the other where it would probably be a little bit easier, just because we've all masturbated, so that's pretty easy. And if it tastes like Skittles, that's not a really big deal.
Is that the worst thing? No.
Yeah, is that the worst thing? In that situation, so I think there's pros and cons. I think that I would somebody that I hate. I really have to think about correctly.
You're on this podcast where people listen. Yeah.
You're like, hey, Charlie, you gonna suck your dick, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna jerk it off. But I think
get it right.
Yeah, it'd be tough. I think the easiest thing would probably be number 2, but if I really wanted to challenge myself, I'd probably go number 1.
Yeah, you're all about challenging yourself.
Yeah. I got a girthy heart, so
that's right. It was just jerk off. I think because you said glory hole, it like made me automatically think that we're sucking this person off now. And wow, I was like,
that's typical with glory holes. Yeah. But
that's fine. And then what you picked 2?
I said I would pick 1 to challenge myself. I would pick 2 because it'd be easier.
Okay, all right. Because everyone likes a good challenge. If we're trying to challenge ourselves, I would pick 1 too. You didn't mention that.
If I want to challenge myself, I'm just combining them.
Yeah, except get both in here.
Yeah.
Wow.
But after we're done the podcast, I'll tell you how I came up with the poop thing, because it was something that surprised me, but didn't really. So anyway, we'll talk about that later. All
right. If you want to hear offline as well, feel free to DM Drake. Maybe he'll tell you how he came to this thought process.
This is hilarious. Wait, real quick. We got Frank from Geek Freaks chiming in. He said option 1, but damn, Drake needs intervention. Oh, well.
Shit. That's so funny.
Yeah, damn. The people who smoking Drake.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're really going to get to know your deep inner workings here. Oh my God. All right. So now we have to continue on to the review portion of the show. And that's exactly where we're at now. We're here at reviews. Oh my God.
Made me laugh so much. So good.
And Drake, you're back up, man. I want to see how you spin this, but you watched something over the weekend. I gave it a shot. Speaking about Netflix, Enola Holmes 2 came out. What did you think about it?
So Enola Holmes, I'm a huge Sherlock fan. I love detective situations. I will give you the pros first. Henry Cavill is great. The actors and actresses in it are great. I think we have Bellatrix Lestrange, who's one of the main characters in this situation as well too. She's the Holmes's mother. And there's a lot more anarchy. There's a lot more I guess movement for women's rights, which we kind of see that in the original Enola Holmes. The story's a little bit more well thought about. There's more detective situations in here and less kind of like boring, I'm trying to be the sister of Sherlock Holmes and I'm trying to be this person. It's a little bit more established. And so essentially Enola has her first case as a full-blown detective, and she has to find this person, and it's a missing person. And so it ends up coming to fruition that her case and Sherlock's case ends up intertwined. Oh. And so they end up working together. And so you kind of get to see a little bit more of the inner workings of how Enola and Sherlock are very similar, which is kind of nice because you don't necessarily get to see the differences. You get to see the similarities. Mm-hmm. We also get Lupin from Harry Potter. Do you remember that character?
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Shoot, I love that actor too. He was also in The Sandman.
Yes, I forget what
I mean, he's been in so many shows.
I have nothing her.
Yeah. But he's just an amazing actor.
So he's an amazing actor. David, yes. So he's in there, and he plays a kind of a bad guy in there. We also get to see the first time Moriarty kind of pops up. So you get to see a lot of these very quintessential Sherlock characters being brought into fruition. We don't get to see any of Mycroft in this particular one, who is the I think the oldest Holmes brother. Mm-hmm. But I would say from a outside standpoint, watching it, if you love Sherlock, watch it for sure. If you're into kind of detective things, watch it for sure. But it's a little bit corny. It's a little bit on the nose as it pertains to like the Winona Wright situation and kind of bringing that into the forefront. There's parts of it where it's not so much cringy. Enola does break the fourth wall kind of a lot to talk to the audience. Some parts are funny and some parts are a little bit unnecessary. You do get to see Millie Bobby Brown kind of be a little bit more in her element. It kind of feels like she wants to do this character and play this character well. So her acting, and you can kind of see her portray a young, kind of female character who has that very coming of age situation where they're falling in love and they're learning how to deal with their emotions. At the same point in time, there's these much larger,
things at stake, right?
Yeah, things at stake, events, things that she wants to stand for. She's really putting forth her character and her values and her principles. And it's a long watch. I think it's almost 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Yeah, some parts like 2 hours, 14 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's 2 hours and 14 minutes. Some of it, you're like, ooh, sometimes it's like, ooh. But at the same point in time, if you push through it, it all kind of makes sense. It almost feels like kind of getting a sushi roll from like a grocery store, like a chain grocery store that's already prepackaged in like the refrigerated section. You're like, it's a little bit expensive, but it's something that I know. It's convenient for me right now. And after you eat it, you feel satisfied. It wasn't the best thing you've ever eaten, but it was worth it. And so that's kind of how I felt about Enola Holmes too.
Okay. Yeah. Right on. All right. Grocery store sushi. Got it.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, grocery store sushi. Grocery store sushi. Grocery store sushi.
Good the first time. Yeah, but that was that was a great take. Yeah, I started it. It felt a lot more like in order, where this first movie felt like it jumped around quite a bit. Yes. And this one actually felt like a little bit more consistent in how the timing and the pacing was. And so you felt like it was a consistent story a lot more. So I did, from what I saw, I liked this a lot more. It just felt like it wasn't necessary for me yet. I still, like, to your point, I thought Millie Bobby Brown did a great job. Like, you can tell she's in her element, you could tell like she likes this character and she does a great job playing this character. And So I don't know. I'm trying to think of what the exact reason was why I kind of, maybe it was just the who it was targeted for. Definitely felt like it was targeted for a younger audience and maybe not necessarily for me, but it was great from what I saw of it. So I do recommend. If you're into those kind of detective shows and you like Millie Bobby Brown, dude, this is probably a show. It was cool. She even referenced jujitsu, right, Jake? And I was like, I was like, Jake's gonna love this.
Yeah. The only issue that I saw with that is like, she was like, oh, I know jujitsu. And she goes, huh. And I was just like, that's frustrating.
Like, so you don't know jujitsu.
But regardless, the fact that she's kind of bringing it to the forefront of this situation, especially in this time period, which it exists, but wouldn't have been as well known. I thought that was very nice. And they actually use it within the show. So that's really cool that that's become a little bit more mainstream, being a person who does jiu-jitsu and like advocates for that lifestyle and things of the such. And for both of you have been influenced by it, whether or not you've practiced it or watched it. It's nice to see kind of that ulterior, meaning that if we think about kind of society in today, there's less like coming of age, right? There's less you becoming a man or like rites of passage. And through the aspect of jiu-jitsu, you kind of get to have that, right? It's you learning how to persevere and then challenging yourself and then eventually coming to a place where you can kind of affect your surroundings in a way that you grow personally. And the fact that it's being shown in Enola Holmes was very parallel to her journey, because she did really accomplish the things that she wanted to accomplish through perseverance. And very interesting that they used the medium of jiu-jitsu as the physical thing that she used to not only overcome, but also the lifestyle into which knowing that marginal incremental gains was important and necessary for her to be where she was within the show, or the movie, I should say.
Right. Yeah. Actually, it's very cool parallels in that sense. And it's, I mean, especially you being somebody who's constantly practicing and it's part of your life. Like, the parallels there must have been like super apparent. So that's awesome. That's super cool. It's like a bunch of things you love, like jiu-jitsu, detectives, Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah. I mean, what more?
It's all
Leave
there.
me alone in a room. You know what I mean? So I can watch it by myself.
Like the whale.
Just like
the whale. Yeah.
Scott like to watch this movie.
Got a girthy heart.
That's right. Scott, you got to see something that was pretty cool, and I'm very curious about. But I haven't really kept up with the anime, and I've tried to. I tried to like start with it, but it is dense and it's deep, and that is One Piece. What did you think about the One Piece movie? And I don't really know what the full title is.
Yeah, so you're right about that. One Piece is very dense. It's like they're in the thousands in the episodes right now.
Jeez,
crazy.
Still very good. It is hard to get into. It's called One Piece Red, the new movie. It's the 15th movie that they've made for One Piece.
Wow.
Overall, I think I really enjoyed it. If you're not familiar with One Piece in this world, it's one of the reasons why I like the show is like similar to like X-Men and whatnot. Like there's these fruits that you can get in this universe, and if you eat them, you can obtain a certain power. And for Luffy, for instance, he eats this like rubber fruit. Anything they eat is just they double up on it, like smoke or whatever it is. Whatever it is, they say it twice, and that's what it is. So he rubber fruit, so he becomes the rubber man basically. And downside is they can't swim. So like you get that out of the way, and then they're all pirates and they go on this adventure and whatnot. So in this movie though, in particular,
so does that ever stop them being pirates who can't swim?
They're usually pretty good with their powers, where they never let that come to never let that like happen. Like, so if like Luffy, since he's like rubber, like whatever, if he like were to ever just fall off the boat, he could just stretch and grab it before he like whatever, like usually they're all pretty competent normally. I think if you're not, you never get as far as they do.
Got it. Okay.
They probably die pretty early on. And like what's cool is like at this point in the journey, when you run into people that are really strong, even if the power is kind of weird, they got here because they're really strong and like maybe smart, or like there's different levels too. You can not only have powers, you can also like build like what's called haki, and like you can like solidify your skin basically. There's different forms of it. One is like you can make your skin like steel basically. You don't necessarily have to eat a fruit to do that. Or you can like they have different sets of haki where you can like sense people or whatever it is. So like there's different forms of leveling up, even if you're not like a devil fruit user or whatever.
Okay.
But in this movie, they meet up with this character Uta, who ate the sing fruit. So she's basically like this super famous singer, basically like BTS or something, but it's just like the main singer. So like people come out to her concert and like no one knows who she really is, but in this movie you find out. This movie had a bunch of like song portions of it, like they'd break into song, almost like an intro to an anime, like how they show like a montage of things.
Yeah, but it had it in the movie.
Like in the movie. And what's kind of interesting is like maybe 20 minutes in, she started singing like a slower song, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool because it's like almost like the end of an episode of an anime. She would do the slower song. Like the timing of it almost felt like they were markings for beginnings and ending of an anime.
Oh,
so
that's
I thought
cool.
that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's
I wish
way of doing it.
Right. I wish our theater, like something was weird with the sound in the beginning. So it all sounded like the sound was coming from the front of the theater versus like all around us. So that kind of was taking me out of it. But overall, I think it worked well. You find out Luffy knows her. It's like basically like Luffy's the main character, right? He's he leads the Straw Hat crew, and like he like after she's done with her like performance, he just like stretches his way over there, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like, "What the fuck is he doing?" Like he just goes wherever the fuck he wants. And then she's like, "Oh, Luffy, is that you?" And like he fucking knows her. Like what the hell? Like they're all big fans, and like he didn't tell them that So it turns out like they grew up together because her father is Shanks. So if you don't know One Piece, Shanks is the dude he's the pirate that gives Luffy his straw hat when he was younger. And now he's like a pretty big to do pirate. And like Luffy's kind of like, trying to like get up there as well. So like while Shanks is continually like getting up there in ranks in like the pirate world, like Luffy's trying to get up there and surpass him. He wants to be the pirate king. So you find out that that's the daughter. And then without too many spoilers, there's a uniqueness to her power, and like there's a bit of a twist to like what looks like's going on and what's really going on in the movie. So going in, if you're expecting like a ton of action, like this might not be the one for you. There is some action in it for sure, and like towards the end there's definitely like some really cool stuff, but I found like you don't really get it till towards the end of the movie. And I think the story was more interesting than like the action part. It wasn't driven by action. It was more like, oh, there's a twist. I was like, while you're watching, you're trying to figure it out. And I guess right. I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's what they're doing with this. And it was a really interesting movie. And it wasn't necessarily canon, but I think there's certain things in this movie that are definitely canon. So for instance, like if I can compare it to Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, you know how they level up, right? Like there's Super Saiyan 2, 3, 4 and all that stuff. Right. And these characters who have these devil fruits, like some of them can level up in a sense. And Luffy can do that. And he's been like kind of like naming them by gears. So he has like gear 2, gear 3, gear 4. We've seen gear 4 in the anime. If you're reading the manga, we've seen gear 5 like fairly recently. He's just leveled up to like this, like almost like kind of like a god level of this fruit. He's like reached like the total unlocking of it kind of thing. If you've watched the anime, you haven't seen this yet. If you haven't, so I feel like there were definitely people in the movie. I think, I heard them. When there's a point in the movie where he goes gear 5, they don't show it to like the screen's kind of black and white and stuff. So they kind of show it for a second. And then he's like this small on the screen and you can see when he's gear 5, he's like white. So if I've heard some people going, what the fuck is that? Like, when the hell does he do that? Like, so they didn't even like, they kind of spoiled that for them, I guess. So if you're like not caught up, like, don't just read the manga and then go watch this movie. But it was cool. Like there was a lot of great action towards the end of the movie. And you got to learn a little bit more about Shanks. And I think this Uta character is someone that they're bringing into the manga and like the anime now. Like, because I wasn't too familiar with this new Sing Sing character. And like when I was talking to my brother and like my friend who's like knows way more about One Piece and whatnot, they were saying like, oh yeah, they're gonna start weaving her in, and they don't know like how big of a role she's gonna play, but it was a pretty cool like bigger introduction. So if you're a fan of One Piece, definitely check it out. I really enjoyed it. Overall, really good movie.
Right on. Nice. It doesn't sound like though, like I haven't watched all of One Piece, right? And I definitely haven't read the manga. So it's like, it's not something I could probably just jump in and watch then, right? Yeah,
that's a good point. I don't think so. It's almost like just jumping in and then watching like the Majin Buu stuff in Dragon Ball Z, and you're like, oh, I don't really know everyone's relationship yet and stuff. And like, because throughout this movie, you already know the characters if you've read or watched the series up till now. So all the little jokes and stuff they throw out, like it's way funnier because you know the character. But if you don't know, then it may not land for you. or whatnot. But there were definitely moments in this movie, because I've read it up to now, like had me laughing out loud, because I'm like, oh, that's so this character to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a good point. You may not enjoy it as much as I did.
Is there certain arcs you can read and stuff so that you could catch up to watch it? Would you be able to know that?
Oh, I'd say you'd probably have to. Each arc builds off the last one, I feel like, because especially from the beginning, he starts with so many people and he slowly through the arcs adds people onto his crew. So by now he's almost a full crew. He might add a couple more people going forward. But if you were to, you might be able to watch some of the movies. If you maybe just watch the movies, you probably get a good idea of how the characters like work together and whatnot and stuff, because like over the movies too, they grow with the series. So
yeah,
if you were to just watch the movies, you'd be like, oh, who's this new guy? You probably figured out, and how they do, they do a pretty good job of like summing up characters in the movie. But to jump to this latest one without watching anything might be kind of tough. But yeah.
Well, cool, man. Damn, it makes me wish that I had kept up with One Piece or just like stayed in it, because yeah, if this was a cool movie and there's like, it's such a cool character, it's a cool concept. It's something I wish I just kept up with, because it sounds pretty awesome.
To start scratching out 1,000 would be real tough.
yeah.
But it is like, I do like that it's like how My Hero does like its own take on superhero stuff. Like this in a way has its own take where you sometimes see them fight enemies with like the weirdest powers, but they make them cool. And I like that, because I'm like, I would have never thought to make this guy cool. But they like the way they build this world around them and stuff. You're like, oh, this is fucking cool. Like I never would have thought like, what was it? One guy has like string, like he controls like he like his big final thing was like he built like this giant like razor wire bird cage around like this island they were fighting on, so they couldn't leave. And like you're like, I would have never thought like this guy would be that ultimate, like, so I guess they do a good job of like picking a weird power and then being like, hey, if he was at this level, what could he possibly do with that power?
Right. Like what's the coolest we could possibly make this power ever? And it's like that, like he can like enclose everybody into this like string jail in a sense.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. I do like that, because My Hero Academia is like one of my favorite animes, and that's it. Like what attracted me to it, was that the powers were unique and that they found a way to make them cool and interesting and useful. And then also like the characters have cool personalities and stuff like that. But it's just a unique take on superpowers and stuff. And it sounds like that is there in One Piece. Yeah, right on, man. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for the review. It sounds pretty cool. If you've been keeping up with it, this sounds like a movie you definitely got to check out. The next thing on our list is this show that I've really gotten into recently, and I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. I thought, oh, okay, this looks pretty interesting, and I saw some pretty interesting special effects from the trailer, but it's on Amazon Prime, and it's called The Peripheral. And it stars Chloe Grace Moretz, and it's really crazy. And it's really hard to talk about this without spoiling it. Episode 4 is the latest episode that's out, and I think it goes to 8 episodes. But basically, it's in the future, and in this future, Chloe, her name is Flynn, and it's her brother Burton, and then they live with their mom, kind of in this small town, but in the future. She works at a 3D printing shop, like a 3D print whatever. And the brother is he's not retired, but no, I guess he is. He's like a retired Marine that comes back from war. And he now just basically plays like VR simulated video games for money. And I don't know if he like competes, but he tests these games out at least and has to beat certain levels and then give his feedback. And one day Flynn comes in, his sister, and he can't beat this level, and she like easily beats the level. But on top of that, like this headset, it like completely like goes over your eyes and everything that you can pretty much see, hear, and I think to some degree like feel what's going on in that world. She easily beats this level where they're in World War II and they're pinned down by these enemies in this barn. and she figures out a way to let these sheep go. And that like reveals a tractor. Long story short, she's really good at figuring out these puzzles or parts of these games. And she easily beats this mission. One day her brother Burton gets a headset from this like kind of experimental off the grid Colombian company, as he calls it, which she gets in a new headset, or he gets in a new headset, and he wants her to try it out. And it's unlike anything she's ever tried. She feels everything that's going on. She takes over her brother's avatar, and they basically give her like this interesting mission to invade this party and meet this person. And while she's there, she can, like I said, she can feel things, she can smell things. Like it's a full encompassing experience that she feels like she's truly there. And it just kind of kicks off this crazy thing. She being her brother's avatar, talks this woman into kind of going home with her. And that was like part of the mission. And on the way home, there's a robot driving them. There's this really cool concept of androids, and they have like no faces, but it's like these weird kind of triangle patterns that they can display a face if they want to, but just this really cool kind of character design. But they're driving home, Flynn and this woman, and in the process, like she's told to kind of wipe her out or like knock her out. And she does that, and the android turns on her, and like this battle ensues in the car where the android trying to stab her. She barely escapes with her life, and it's just like, holy shit, what was that? This was so crazy. Whoa. Like, what did I just experience? Yeah, it was like, and she thought it was just like this sim or video game.
Yeah.
But she starts getting contacted by somebody who's like, hey, that sim you were a part of, that wasn't a sim. That wasn't a video game. That actually was really happening. And the difference between where she lives, this small town, North Carolina. So it's all these people with Southern accents, and it's like very down south, which is cool, juxtaposed to this world that she invaded, which is modern day or future London. So it's just cool, like the interactions there. But at the same time, yeah, this person from London is telling her, hey, that wasn't an experience. Like that wasn't just a video game. What you did was you took over a body, and that really happened. Like you basically like almost kidnapped this girl. And she's like, what the fuck? And basically, as far as the story goes right now, there is a Russian oligarch. This sounds super heady, but just go with me here. And it all makes sense when you watch it. That world is the future 50 years from where she is. And she's in the past. But there's small things in the past that she's also dealing with as well that the future is now helping her with. So like they want to keep employing her because her mother's dying. And they're like, we have a drug that can cure her, but you have to go and do this mission for us, controlling this body, and vice versa. So it's super cool. I can't remember the author, but it's written off a book called The Peripheral. And he writes like really fantastic science fiction, but it just like feels so real. Like the characters, like this episode 1 ends in this like such a crazy cliffhanger. And episode 2 starts right at the end of episode 1. And it's just like this all out battle with future tech. It's like modern warfare brought to real life. It was so fucking cool. So it's well acted. It seems well written. They did not skimp on the special effects. All the futuristic stuff in it is so well done. It looks so good. It's like crazy because I think about Lord of the Rings and the $250 million on stuff. And I don't know what the budget is for this, but it looks so good. It doesn't have orcs and monsters and all that stuff too, which I understand, and it's not like different worlds in a sense, but future London has a very unique look to it. With these giant, like Greek statue skyscrapers that you find out what the purpose of it is later. But it's just a really cool concept. And the characters are cool. And the blending of the past and the future, and the London characters versus the South Carolina characters, and just how like their drama is still valid in their different timelines, although that there's some type of synergy and them working together. So I can't praise enough. Again, it's on episode 4. I don't want to spoil it for you guys unless you're able to watch it, but highly recommend it. It's like a show I would want to talk week to week about because it's so much little detail and things happen that progressive story, like in Andor, that it's so good. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, at least give episode 1 a watch. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called The Peripheral. Super good.
Yeah, I definitely got to watch that. It's been on my list. I didn't have time to watch it this week, but yeah, the way you describe it already, I want to like, I have questions, but I also don't want to be spoiled. Like I want to, watch and experience that. So I'm excited to check that out. The trailer looked insane. Yeah.
Dude, it's so good. Like watch up to episode 4 and then like, let's come back down the line and let's talk about 5 and 6 and all, and then the rest. Because I think there's only 4 more episodes left, but man, I just like, it's like Andor for me right now, where I'm like, I know it has to end and it's going to end, but I don't want it to end because it keeps getting better and better.
That's good to hear.
It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. I don't know. Like, I know Christina kind of felt iffy about their accents, but I think she does a great job and it seems pretty real to me. And the brother too. And yeah, it's just, oh man, it's so good. So good.
Couple things. The author is William Gibson.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then I was looking at the cast and the brother, I recognize him from Midsommar. And I absolutely hated that character. He did a great job. I hated that character though. Like, yeah, he was. Nice. I don't know if you've seen the movie. He's just like such a douchebag. Like,
that's all my list. He ends up dying in the.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, you didn't watch it. Okay, I won't say anything else. It's on my list. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it's a good movie. Christine loves that movie. I find her watching it. She's watched it over a handful of times already.
Really? Okay.
She'll just throw it on. But yeah, he did a good job in that movie. You end up not liking him in that movie, which always makes me. It always reminds me like if you don't like the actor, then he's doing a good. Or if you don't like the character, the actor's doing a good job. So
doing a great job.
I'm excited to see him in this show. That's awesome. And to hear that it's like Andor. Oh man. I love that.
I mean, different science fiction, completely different stories, just different vibe and everything, but engaging, like, at least for me, like I'm excited for the new episode to drop, which I think is tonight or tomorrow night. But either way, I'm like, okay, I can't wait for the next episode. Just like how I feel about Andor.
The Joystick Show.
If you like what you hear, please like, follow, and subscribe. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us on Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at JoyStickShow, Joystick Show. Or if you feel like submitting topics or asking questions to be discussed on further episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. Peace out and make it a great rest of your week.